baby, and welcome back to Words with Wayman. I'm your host, as always, Matt Wayman. Support us on the interwebs, Words with Wayman on Facebook, Words with Wayman on the Twitter, and support our first and only sponsor, Fourth City Designs, providing apparel solutions for the city of St. Louis and beyond. Awesome shirts. Please check them out online. They get some really cool shirts. I think you guys would love them. If you don't like them, tweet at us so we can figure out a way to work something out. But we're going to get right into it. We got a very special episode, part 2, with graphic designer / theater manager / all-around sweet boy, Mr. Erik Rodne. Thank you for coming back.
Thanks for having me.
And I guess we left off in the first place talking about just kind of like you going into the freelance thing, doing freelance graphic design, and just kind of how like you made it work with your lifestyle. And you do a lot of stuff. You wear a lot of hats. You help us out on our zine, Word zine by Denver comedians. You do that. You do so much stuff. How do you manage your time, I guess?
I think it's important to try to keep things simple. So in my freelance world, I've narrowed it down to 3 words: design, development, and illustration. Cool. They're pointed enough yet vague enough to sort of mean I could do anything. Mm-hmm. And my simple bottom line is pay for the hours. Yeah. You know, I just need recognition for the time I spent on a thing. I believe in like the equality of people's efforts, and no one little effort should be deemed as less important. So I just want acknowledgement for the time. Yeah. And I feel like that spills over really well into the theater here now. There's just a bottom line for time that gets used. Mm-hmm.
And with a theater like this, which I don't know if you 100% want to get into it, like how this theater actually runs and how you guys make it work with other people out there. But I mean, I'm sure that I know you spend a lot of hours there, so it must be at least a somewhat discounted rate, I guess, for what you're doing.
Well, my contributions to the theater have been largely a labor of love. You know, there's no financial, I don't get a paycheck.
Yeah.
So I can't expect that of anyone else. And I haven't logged any of the hours that I've spent here. So in order to keep a roof over my head, I have to maintain the individual freelance relationships that I've had and carry those responsibilities forward for whatever tasks they may have at any certain given time. So it's a big juggling act, really. Mm-hmm. I'm not really good at physically juggling, but mentally juggling, mentally sparring with things.
Multitasking
things, yeah. Being able to compartmentalize, being able to, take one hat off and put another one on swiftly.
Mm-hmm. Like when you got to sit down and bang something out for an hour.
Or more.
Is this largely a clientele that you've built since you've moved to Denver, or has some of it been residual?
A little bit of both. There are some residual, family sort of friendly contacts from back in the Midwest who I still work with. There are, some nice freelance organizations out here in Denver. Largely, it's a lot of clients that I've met and retained relationships with out in Colorado.
Nice. What does every job switch up like crazy, or is it more similar? Is it more just like you do a lot of one type of thing when you're doing the graphic design? Is there a specialty that you have?
I really love logos and typographic illustrations.
Nice, yeah. I mean, that's what you do with our zine and just make it look so good. Typefaces and fonts.
And I would love to have, budget time to be drawing more, to make typographic illustrations, hand-drawn letter forms.
Making your own fonts
close
and stuff
to my
like
heart.
that?
Yes, I've made my own font before, and there's...
What'd you call it?
I called it Axe,
nice.
AKS. So...
I'm a big type nerd now that I started getting into like stencils and graffiti and stuff like that.
Every now and again I get egotistical and will Google myself, and I found that someone has picked up that font and called it scary.
Really?
And so the thing is, the font was never intended to be scary, and it was intended to evoke a personal story.
Wow.
Now maybe they're interpreting my story as scary, but
it is all monsters for people out there that don't
know. Dark. So
how do you even go to start to develop a font?
That's a great question. That's a fun question, right? So I think you can start with a few key letters, right? Mm-hmm. The letters P and Q and D and B are basically the same shape.
Okay.
Just flipped around. So whatever of those 4 you like the best, start there. Now you've got different typey words like, the bowls and the stems and the ascenders and these different things that we call letter form bits, right? Like the circle in the middle of the B can be used to make the circle in the middle of the E, maybe even, right?
Okay.
And so you can just kind of start building off of these patterns that you've used. So lots of layers of tracing paper.
And this is all in probably like Illustrator or something like that?
No, you want to use paper and pencil. You want to use vellum. Vellum is actually sheepskin.
Okay.
I think they do make it synthetically now, and they'll call it tracing paper.
Tracing paper.
Transparency or tracing paper. But vellum was the word that they'd used before, and it was thin enough that you could mark on it with a bunch of ink and layer it and continually refine it. One more layer because it could get a little bit better, and you just keep drawing the thing over and over again. So the typeface that I had made is completely hand-drawn.
Awesome.
No use of computer to create, right? Computers don't create anything.
They're just a tool.
Right. Computers can people will say, like, what about fractal? You can create that. It's an equation that makes pretty art, sure, but it didn't create it. It just followed its pattern that you gave it.
Which was the equation.
Right. So to have made the font completely hand-drawn and then finished it with a computer, I think is an important part to mention.
Yeah, for the people that... I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that...
Yeah.
I think it's one of the coolest things out there because, like, if people don't know, like, all these fonts that you see all the time have people that created them, and if you look deep into a lot of them, you can find the actual people that created these things, and it's just such a deep thing to know that somebody spent the time to actually create this thing.
And fonts are relatively inexpensive these days. You can pick up a brand new, really cool font for like $20, $30, $50 maybe.
Yeah, or download it for free on some places too.
Right. Well, the idea is to pay the artists, right? So if something's inaccessible, like a CD price of $10 or $20 or something, that's the same sort of rock star artist of the design world as like the type designer. The prolific type designer.
Do you follow type designers?
There's a type designer in Denver.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You?
Wow. No. There's another gentleman.
Yeah.
Who I've got to meet a few times.
Awesome.
There's an organization called AIGA that anyone who's in design should get affiliated with.
Yeah.
It was originally the American Institute for Graphic Artists.
Nice.
It is later changed to the Professional Association for Design.
I like that.
Design means business.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Designers want to be in the conversation with things early and ahead of time, as opposed to be thought of as the afterthought. We've already figured the entire plan out. Now let's give it to the designers to make it look pretty.
Yeah. Which is the worst part, I bet, right? When they're just like, then you're just a tool at that point.
Well, one can always make their own decisions.
Yeah.
And so being involved early on helps, I think, the entire process. I mean, it's a different perspective to be added to the business platform.
So what does your creative process look like? Like, how do you just, when you're doing graphic design and stuff like that, can you just sit down and just bang it out for 5 or 6 hours? Do you have to think about it before and then hit it? How do you go at it?
So I guess I see graphic design as a visual interpretation of someone else's message.
Cool.
So it takes love and time and appreciation to A, find out what that message is, and then B, present it in a way that's most acceptable for their audience. So that isn't always going to be the same thing, but it's a simple process that could be adapted to any situation. Do
you find that you work better at one point in the day? Do you find like you can do it whenever? How do you day to day? What do you look like?
I've really tried in my independent life to lock down this 9 to 5. This is when I'm busy. I'm busy here 9 to 5, and then after 5, I'm not busy. I'm not working on anything. And that's really hard to do. I don't think creativity comes on tap like that. I think it comes in ebbs and flows and waves, and you're just walking sometime and you have this great idea and you've got to dive into this project that you've got for the next 5-10 hours. And that makes the other project late. And now you're tired and you've got to sleep and then you've got to juggle all these things, right?
So it's just kind of going where the creativity comes and hits you.
Yeah, knowing that you've got to carry the responsibility of getting these things done for people. They've requested these things done. They want them done to a high degree of polish, and they want them done on time.
I know that you said that you hurt your arm at some point. Do you find that mentally you stress yourself out? Do you find that you get more high strung around deadlines and stuff like that? I
think my only limit is physical right now. if I could stay awake forever, I would just be able to design forever.
Yeah.
If I never got hurt, I would never have to stop doing a thing. So I think that's just the tough bit, is that I can only get so much done, and I try not to stress myself out too hard about I could have got more done today, or I could have whatever. I'm just simply going to show up and do my best and rest after that.
I think that's the best. I think, what do you feel like you're pretty type A? Do you feel like you're pretty...
I don't even know what the letters mean.
Yeah. I guess you're focused. I don't even know.
I have all the keys on my keyboard.
Yeah.
For the record.
If people out there were wondering.
Yeah. There's not a single one missing. I have the A key type that I can...
Yeah. I just find that I feel like some people, like I know my buddy that's like a really good toy designer. He's like super type A, so he just like clocks in and he's very focused and gets stuff done. And I talked to you a little bit and feel like you're kind of along the same lines of being a very focused individual, but you also have to learn how to manage your time and manage your stress, because if you just knock everything out, it will kind of make other things in your life kind of shitty.
Right. So there's
if you don't have a little stress relief.
And I'm a bit of a night owl.
Yeah.
So I'll find that opportunity, and the world seems quiet, and I can focus easier then. There are less distractions.
Yeah. What do you do for fun? What do you do for release?
I really enjoy. I enjoy watching some good comedy.
Nice.
I enjoy laughing. I think that's the best medicine. I think sometimes we work really hard trying to make some things happen, so it's nice to have that as a good release.
Yeah.
But hiking, man, getting in nature is definitely a core thing for me.
Yeah.
I just moved into the city this last October, so I haven't even been here a full year. And my joke is that you can have the last word.
Yeah.
Because right now I've got the last word.
Yeah. That's good.
But I've been in the city. Yeah. And that's a different jungle, right? And so every now and again I need to jump on a bus and get out into the mountains and just spend a few hours at a minimum, and it resets me very completely.
Just kind of being in that place where there is nothing, where you don't have this technology, where you're just kind of in your own element. Do you go by yourself? Do you go with people?
Mostly go by myself. Nice. Yeah. I mean, I would love to bring people along, but there's also sort of like this, I need my solitude. I need a little serenity that's my own, where I can just like not see anything but nature and just connect with that again.
I was reading like a quote like a couple weeks back that was basically just like, people that don't have like hobbies need to be around other people, and people that have like a creative desire and a drive like
need to get away.
Just be by yourself, because I mean, like, you're bombarded by all this stuff all the time, but it's like, I'm not worried about being by myself. I'd love to be by myself and just in my own head for a little bit.
Right. I mean, I think there's a healthy balance to be found in all things.
We get down to the end of it. We're a couple more minutes left, but I always ask this question on the podcast every time. 5 years from now, best case scenario, what does your life look like?
Best case scenario?
Best case scenario. Dreams.
I've finished my first term. I've finished my first term as presidency.
Yeah.
Right? I've been reelected.
Nice.
And America's doing a lot better than it is today. I love that.
Nobody's even jumped to anything. Everybody's just like, I want to have a house in the country and 12 kids. Or whatever, $1 million.
12 kids, $1 million in a house. Nice too, right? I don't think the presidency pays that much.
No, not anymore.
I think it's $400,000 a year.
Yeah,
that's still a lot more. That's still a big upgrade from where I'm at. But, ultimately, I would hope that America would be in a better place in 5 years from now.
Nice.
I would hope that we do not have as many tensions. I think the hope is that we've talked more.
Yeah.
I think we've identified part of the issue is that the minute we encounter something we're uncomfortable with, we back away from it. We don't even talk about it anymore.
Absolutely.
And that isn't fixing anything.
No.
And so I hope in 5 years we've talked a lot more.
Yeah. The talking definitely is the key. I also think there has to be some sort of consciousness change for the people, whether that be aliens coming back or coming back. I believe.
We never left.
We never left. They're still here and on this podcast. I guess just before we get out of here, any last words, just inspirational words for creative people out there that might be struggling right now and might just be going up against some hard times?
You're worthy. You're worth it, and you're worthy. You should hang in there. Because you're doing something because you believe in it, and it doesn't matter if anyone else doesn't believe in it. You believe in it. It doesn't matter what the world says about you. You know?
It makes you different from everybody else, and good. And that's why I love creativity, because I feel like, it makes you who you are, and you can't really...
And you have a unique voice. No one has your voice. No one can say things the way that you say them. No one can interpret the world the way that you are interpreting the world. And that's a wonderful gift. And if you're feeling inclined to throw efforts in that direction, I say do it.
Do it well. Put your time in there. Well, yeah, and speaking of putting your time in there, we're getting down to the time.
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank you so much for coming out. Do you want to plug anything before we get out of here? Absolutely. Crossroads Theater, of course.
Yeah, get on down to the theater. Let's share some shoulder-to-shoulder time.
Yeah, you're such a modest guy. I mean, you don't even put your name on the zine and everything, and you're just a very super, uber talented, very great thinker, and just a cool dude.
I'm going to soak up those kind words, and now that we've got them recorded, I can listen to them again. Thank you.
Listen to them on the internet. Everybody out there, listen to it, and listen to it twice, because I feel like we need the downloads, and I feel like it works better on the second time. Guys, thank you all so much for listening. Support us on the internet at Words with Wayman, on Twitter, Words with Wayman on Facebook, but check out ForCityDesigns.com. Get some shirts, y'all. Thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you all soon.